Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Talk the Ting.
Good night, good night, good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night. Let me introduce myself. Obviously, I know you guys can see the names. What my name is doing. I am a host, and Raj, if you can introduce yourself.
My name is Rajiv, and I'm a co-host,
Yeah. So
one of the
tonight,
many.
one of the many. But tonight we have an interesting episode to bring to you guys. We thought it would be a good idea to bring on a young entrepreneur, somebody who's gone the non-traditional route of not necessarily going to, school as we've been told in the Caribbean. And he's followed his passion. Um, we're gonna get into that, with our guest. We hope you guys enjoy the show. Before we go a little any further, we would like everybody to share the live, please. Go to our YouTube page.
Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, all of the
Yes,
links.
please subscribe, like, comment on our videos. We definitely want to make sure that you guys are seeing the good content that we are getting. Okay, Rajiv, hold on 1 second there. All right, sorry about that, folks. Just a little technical difficulty. Um, but yeah, we want you guys to definitely get on with us. Definitely want you guys to watch the show. We're trying to bring you guys some really good content. We're really trying to get you guys some good, things that you guys could learn from, that we could all learn from. So any ideas
So,
you guys have, we're more than willing and welcome any ideas for anybody you guys think that we could bring on the show. We just want to have cool conversations, not nothing all tight and rigid. Just talk and just kind of see if how we could vibe and bring you guys some good content. Right, what you're saying?
I was saying, and also some variation, because sometimes, everybody might not be interested in particular things, but try to give a little something for everybody. So,
Yes, yes, yes. So with no further ado, we're gonna bring in the man himself. So welcome, Cash Stats.
welcome,
Yo,
welcome.
what's up? What's up? You can hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
you
can
like
hear you,
loud,
man.
loud and clear, loud and clear.
Nice.
What's the word? What are you saying?
Yeah, cool, man. I just finished working there, so I just ready for the podcast.
So,
Represent
so we catch you at the perfect time. So
perfect time.
everything.
Perfect time.
Boy, mind your American people say where you got the accent there, boy.
Oh my God! Hey, how you going to talk? How you going to talk?
Which,
You know
which
what?
side you taking?
I get around you doing. I can't help it, man. It's just something coming up.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man, Byron. So let's go into it a little bit. We have some conversations we want to have, and again, we definitely want people to participate, right? If you have any questions you specifically want to ask Byron, you guys could ask in the chat, and we'll try to facilitate that as much as possible. Anything else, obviously we'll share his information so you can reach out to him, um, and then we'll take it from there. So, Byron, let's go into it a little bit. So let's just go back a little bit and just give us a little bit of your history, kind of where you're from, how you end up in the US, and how you end up in the whole tattoo thing. Just go ahead with that.
Well, if I was to tell you how I ended up in the tattoo thing, I have no idea. But the tattoo thing ended up with me, and I never left. But as far as where I started from, Dominica, major part Grand Bay, then Tetmon Mountain. I'm from Picodo. Picodo, small country boy. You check. Big family. Dominica, born, but my family migrated to New Jersey. We came to Irvington, and everything else was history.
So did you always, were you used to draw anything in Dominica?
Not in Dominica, but when I came up there, I didn't have too many friends and things you check. So me and my sister used to sit down in the kitchen, and she used to draw. So she kind of taught me how to draw, and it was natural. But I didn't take it serious. I just, something to do without friends. You check. So the drawing thing, I always knew I could do it, but I didn't think I could make a career out of it. You check.
Yeah. I remember years ago when Byron started doing the tattooing thing, but I was one of Byron guinea pigs,
Yes, sir, right in my brown bedroom. Yeah, doing that. Yes, sir, doing that.
Yep. I remember that, boy.
Yes,
So what was the first time you'd say, you went for an experience as an artist where you feel like, boy, I did maybe a little piece, or I did something for somebody, or the person was like, yo, this was good, and you really feel like, yo, I have some talent?
It was a piece that I thought I used to see, major pieces in magazines. Back then, tattoos wasn't on TV like that. You check. I saw a piece in a magazine, and one of my partners said he want a piece like that. So I tried my best. I said, oh my God. I was probably doing tattoos for like 5 years, no guidance. You check, just me just fucking around and just saying, I can do that. Anything I put my mind to, I can do it. So I tried something, and back then, I was on Instagram for probably a month or two.
Mm.
And back then, getting 12 likes was something special. 12 likes, yeah, I do my job. You check. But that time, yeah, I got like 250 likes in like 30 minutes.
Wow.
That's when I tell you, I cried, man. I cried. I said, oh my God. All right, this might be it. And then, a couple of weeks later, I got laid off from my job. And I say, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not going back to work for nobody else again. I want to do it for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember we had one of them conversations where I was asking you back in the day, what kind of give you the feeling? I remember you telling me, boy, after that job there, I ain't gonna work for nobody again. I gotta work for myself.
I said, knowing I was the number one guy in the department, number one. All my numbers was top dog. You check, I was doing everybody else's job easy. You know what I'm saying?
So how your family felt about that? Like you deciding, well, I'm not going to work for anybody else again. I'm going to do this tattoo.
Well,
I mean, did you decide the tattoo thing one time?
Well, I was still trying to please my mother. You know what I'm saying? She wanted me to go to school and do all that stuff, and I was in the middle road and trying to figure it out. But it came to a point where I just say, you know what, I have to do it for me, because, if I don't give her that strength or that reassurance, that she wouldn't trust it, and there's nothing but pressure in my ass. You check. So I say, you know what, I have to tell her I'm going to do that. You check. I'm going to do that. And I think it was one time when somebody had posted an article about me doing tattoos on Facebook. And one of our friends from church called her and said, oh, I saw Byron. Yeah. I saw
idea.
Yeah, I saw Byron doing tattoos. But the thing that struck me was she didn't strike me in a negative way. She said, oh my God, so you making news doing tattoos? I said, yeah, I'm kind of a big deal, trust me.
Yeah.
And ever since then, she just say, you know what, do what you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So question, was it, did you first get a tattoo, or did you first do a tattoo?
No, I first got a tattoo. But back then, when I got the tattoo wasn't for us, yes, sir. Black people doing tattoos. There wasn't too many black people doing tattoos, and getting a tattoo was few and far in between. You check when I got my first tattoo. So the few black partners that I knew doing tattoos, I mean, salute to them. You check me, say them guide me. They guide me well. You know what I'm saying? But back and you're talking about a history that's not even 15, 16 years ago.
Mm.
There wasn't too many black tattoo artists doing tattoos and doing it well.
Mm.
You know, they have a term for us. They call us they used to call us scratchers. Go to Newark for that shit. They used to say a whole bunch of fuckery.
Mm.
But I took it as motivation. I say, you know what? I got you. I'm going to do better than you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how you actually like learn the skill of actual tattooing? Like, was it like for YouTube or just watch and learn? Like, how you know how much ink is enough ink?
Well, YouTube University was really important in my life, you know. YouTube University. You check. At the time, when I wanted to learn, you know, I couldn't afford the lessons that them partners was teaching, and it's not like you can get financial aid. Mister, them was coming crazy, and it's like while you trying to learn, you cannot even do tattoos, and it was just a bunch of fuck. So I say, you know what? I try one, and I know I can do it. It's just a point of getting better. Getting better every day, practicing, knowing your limits, you know, and then just not just doing anything because you want money. Like it was about the art for me. You check. So I said, you know what? There was one point I was just doing every tattoo, any tattoo I felt like.
Yep.
Until I started feeling like shit after I knew that shit was horrible. You check?
Yeah.
So now I had to slow myself down and be like, you know what? I really need to home into my skills. I really need to home into it because if I can see it, everybody else can see it. So
Yep.
I really took a couple steps back and I say, you know what? Let me really try to focus. I didn't really have no guidance. This is early in the game, you know. It's like I was just out here just doing what I could. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And with that, while I working, I was just practicing to do better for next time.
So, and I mean, based on what you talking about, that ties into a little bit of your your mindset on the product you're putting out, right? And making sure that you give people a good enough product that not only that the work speaks for itself, right? You don't want somebody looking at something saying, "Well, who do that? Don't go to back to Mister," right? That type of thing, right? So, I would say, what is your creative process when designing a tattoo, or like what would you say is your place of specialization as a tattoo artist?
So my specialization, I'm a visionary, so I can see it before it's finished. You check. So that's why I chose to specialize in doing cover-ups or enhancements, because I can see certain shade points and light source and how that thing going to heal, and what I can do to erase certain aspects of old tattoos. So I would say my specialty would be, my mindset being a visionary. I always like to be strategically prepared for whatever I have to do. You check. So let's say if somebody come to me with a project that sounds out of this world. So when I close my eyes, I can see it, the words coming to life. So that's my specialty, man, being a visionary. And then
so how go ahead.
No, and then applying the techniques, the skills, knowing how things work with the tattoos on the skin and different complexions and skin textures. Applying all that together, perfect harmony. That's it.
So where does at what point in the creative process does like what the customer kind of thing come in? Because I know sometimes the artists usually say like sometimes customers want this, but the artist doesn't really buy into the idea. So where does the customer step into the creative process?
The customer have full control of the creative process. Full control. But the thing is application. That's my control. All right. So yeah, tell me every fucking thing you want, everything you need, all you want it to lay, all of that. But my responsibility is application. So if I know it's not going to be applied properly, I wouldn't guide you on that. You check. So me knowing that, I have a way of letting them know and making them feel comfortable. Like, yo, this is my best suggestion, because enough time I done try and fail, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I done try and fail enough time already. So it's like, if now it's to the point, thank God, now it's to the point where it's like, you know, a lot of my clients trust me with the whole process. Only thing I ask for is like, you know, any references or idea description, what you like. It's my job to translate what you like, translate it into a visionary experience. You check? And I think I have that under control.
So you prefer when how you feel about when customers, they come with, like, you know, they come with a picture and they say that's what I want, versus they come with an idea? You prefer coming with an idea or coming with exactly what you want? Or do you even have a preference? No,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The one thing I don't like is when they say, you're the artist, do what you want. That's what I know. I don't like that. But if they come with an idea or pictures,
yeah, that give you something to work with.
Yeah, give me something to work with.
Yeah.
Like, my spin on it or whatever the case may be. You check?
Because not only that, to me, it's like, oh, you are the artist, and then you give to them, and they're like, oh my God, I hate that.
That's it. You know how many times that happened to me. Oh my God, I sit there, I draw some pictures for like 4 hours drawing. Oh, I changed my mind. Oh, fuck that. Fuck that. Nah, finished. We done. Nah, hell no. So I like to agree with my clients. So if they give me the idea, I will draw it up. I'll show them. You check. Once I show them, if they say I like it or I don't like it, then I'll edit. And then until their eyes twinkle and they say, "Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah,
I trust you." You know, it's a feeling you get. It's like a spiritual feeling you get, and you just go with it. You check, and then you can get to be fully creative, because a drawing is just 25% of the tattoo. You know, once you do the actual tattoo and you see the colors blending on with their tone, with their complexion, everything. Once you see all that happening in front of your eyes, that's magic. You know.
So, I mean, that ties into my thought there, where we say that you want the tattoo to mean something to the person and to you also, right? As the tattoo artist, right?
Right.
Because you put in your creative process into it, right? In like you say, your vision of what you seen it turning out to be, and then coupled with that person's idea, right? So two of you guys coming together, and so I mean, is that one of the things that you would say is the main part of what you do, like especially with the cover-ups, right? Because I would say that most people who maybe want to do cover-ups, there's some type of sentimental thing behind that, right? They maybe do some tattoo, they maybe have some boyfriend name or some kind of thing that they want to move on from, right? So, you know, does that how much does that really factor into your thought when you're designing like a cover-up, I would say specifically?
Well, first of all, my God, cover-ups is one of the most rewarding emotional tattoo experiences that anyone can have. You know, everybody always preaching about how permanent a tattoo is, and I don't want to live with that forever. But to know you don't have to have laser your skin cut off for that tattoo to remove. A cover-up process, and not everybody can do that. You check. But a cover-up process, once it's done, once it's executed properly, because I have people cry after a cover-up because they want to let go so bad, but they feeling like they're so stuck. You check? This is so rewarding for me. You check? To see people get that emotional over a cover-up. I say I have to lock in with that. And cover-up it's all about manipulation, tricking the eye, and figuring out where light and dark should go to make it look like every cover up I do, I know where the cover up is. You check, but to everybody else looking, it's a bunch of fuckery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to make it look beautiful, no matter what. You have to make it look like something. You can't just put black on top of everything and just say,
yeah.
You know, like I cover it up. Yeah, you did, but at the end of the day,
it doesn't really mean nothing.
Doesn't really mean nothing.
Yeah.
So I really take cover up to heart, because it's just like, you know, I get to help somebody. Not just making money, you know, but just I get to help somebody. Because who wants to walk around with an ex name that you fucking despise? You know?
Yeah.
Or a fucked up tattoo that you just like, oh my God, I stuck with this forever. No, you're not stuck. Come to me, I say I got you. Yeah, it's so easy.
I got one thing I know. If somebody else saying that you lie, you from Mountain, you never forget gas on away.
We have
Gas.
Nidina is asking how you approach sizing and placement, and what if the client doesn't agree to the recommendation? I mean, I'm sure you'll have difficult clients in the past.
Yeah. I had a lot of difficult clients. Sizing and placement, it depends on the person, because I try to make all my tattoos proportional with the body part that I'm working with. So let's say if that woman come to me for a thigh tattoo and she have some nice thick thighs, right? And when I do a small fuckery on there, it's I would recommend, but I wouldn't force them.
Ultimately, is what they want.
It's what they want. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I always give them a recommendation, but I never forcing nobody. And 9 times out of 10, they always go with my recommendation.
So you ever refuse a tattoo or
Yes.
a customer?
Yeah. Yes. Energy just fucked me up. Your energy messed up. I kind of because sometimes I have to deal and sit down with a person for 10, 14 hours.
Always, yeah. Yep.
10, 14 hours and your energy fucked up. Nah. Sometimes I will start a project and I have to do over 50 hours with that person. And the energy fucked up.
Yeah.
And mind you, at the same time, I might be going through my own personal problems or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now to build myself up to be positive and all that other stuff, and the person still coming with fuckery is just no. So I learned from that because I've been through it. I learned from that. So it's like if your energy fucked up, nah. Budget, too cheap, always trying to haggle on something permanent.
Yep.
Nah, I can't do that.
Quick story on that, Byron. So I remember one time I went to Byron's shop, right? And we chilling, and one of the guys I was working with him at the time, he went to get food. I never forget that story. And I always tell people that story. The guy went to get food, and the guy come back. The guy said, "Boy, food's so expensive." Blah blah. Byron tell him, well, when somebody come in here and you get your price for your tattoo, you don't want them to tell you your tattoo too expensive, right? so if you don't want the food, don't buy the food.
Right.
I never forget that, right? Because I always say, like, when you're getting a good tattoo artist or you're getting a tattoo, you get it. You're not paying them you're not really paying the person for really the work they're doing. You're paying the person for their for the amount of years,
right?
That they put in, perfecting their craft. That's really what you're paying for, right? So. Yeah, man, I always remember that story that when it comes to budget. But anyways, go ahead.
So Byron, when you started off tattooing, did you start off like it in somebody's shop, or did you just go solo right away?
Nah, so what happened was my fraternity brother, he bought a tattoo kit and he said he was doing tattoos. So we was hanging out. And I said, let me try one. And when I tried that thing, I said, I never felt more natural in my life. No matter what job I was doing, how much money or whatever the case may be. But just doing that tattoo, a quick little small little skull, but the size of a nickel. And I do it, and Mr. say, oh my God. You did a good job. I said, I thought tattoos was harder than that. He said, no, this looks really fucking good. So I said, all right, I'm gonna buy my kit right now. And he put me on. We was traveling all around trying to find clients, but it was just the feeling I was chasing. You check, and then part of my one thing people don't know is I'm really arrogant, but I always practice humility. I practice humility, but I'm really arrogant. So I say, I can do anything I want. Anything I want. And I started tattooing and fucking up everybody. Not everybody, but I was fucking up. Because I was doing things too advanced for my skill level.
For the skill level, right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I had to check myself, and I say, you know what, let me pump my brakes, and then I really home into my skills and the skills that I needed to grow, and from there it was over, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, would you say? I mean, obviously the industry has evolved, right? I mean, like I say, I was one of your guinea pigs when you first started, and then
Right.
you know, I came to you. You know, you have one type of tattoos. You know, what I don't know whatever you call it, the
Tattoo
pen or whatever, tattoo machine, and
Yeah.
then you know, obviously technology get better, and you get different equipment and stuff.
Wireless.
Right.
How would you say, you know, in your years doing tattoo that you've noticed that you know the industry has changed? Because you also mentioned that there were not too many, you know, black people doing tattoos like when you started doing it. So how have you noticed the change, I guess, technologically and also, you know, in terms of us African Americans or Caribbean people? And how have you and what do you think is heading in the future?
Well, the number one change, right now the number one change I would say is access. Access to artists is the number one change I noticed. You know,
Social media,
social media, period. Right?
Mm.
Back then it was like, you know, if you're doing good work, you had to be in a shop, you know. Back then wasn't too many black artists in shops. Not around here like that.
Mm.
You know. Every black artist was mainly like doing house work, basement work, you know. A lot of women, not just black women, but women doing tattoos now freely. That was tattoo game was really fucked up. And you're talking about, like I said, 15 years ago, she was really fucked up. You know, it was unheard of to say, all right, I can just go down the street and get a woman to do my tattoo. I could go down the street or hop on social media and get a black artist to do my work. And they're not just coming in doing fuckery, you know. They're
good.
They're good. They're real good. So that's a huge change. A huge change. You know? And I don't know if it's YouTube University or just gives, but them young people coming up, man, oh my god, making me sweat, you know. But you know, I have my solid foundation. So
Yeah.
you think the more modern tools or make it easier, or?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. The tools, the ink, the companies, everything is way easier now. So imagine back then when I started, let's say if you came to me and said you wanted a half sleeve, and the half sleeve had to be this way, that way. I had to hand draw that thing and put it together on one piece of paper. Just say if I put it on your skin and it's too small.
Just redraw the whole thing.
That's
Draw
it.
it
We
again.
have scanners. We couldn't resize. You know what I'm saying? Like everything had to be exact. So it's like whatever I drew, you had to get it. Or if you don't get it, my time wasted.
Yeah.
You know? So now it's way easier where you can just hop on an app and just put it together 10 minutes, boom, we're tattooing now. You know? So it's way easier and stencils, all that, everything is easier. Needles, way better. The machines, way better. So, you know, I'm grateful because I caught the last tail end of the era where you really had to know your machine. You had to be able to break it down and build it back up. In the middle of a tattoo, your machine can break, but you had to have the tools, the equipment on the side so you could just put it together, rubber bands, all that shit. I was there, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I came up. That's how I learned. And having a marker. So you have to draw on people, actually draw on people. And that's it. People underestimate the hardest part of tattooing is getting somebody to trust you, right? But imagine drawing on somebody with a Sharpie marker and saying, trust me. It's going to look way better than this, right? Because at the end of the day, while you're drawing it, all you're thinking about is the outcome of the tattoo.
Outcome, yeah.
Outcome of the tattoo, that's all you're thinking about. But to draw on somebody with a Sharpie and say, listen, it look like a smiley face now, but it's going to be a portrait. So I mean, I went through all them times. Tattoo parties. I mean, do 20, 30 tattoos. You check in one night. You get there at 1 o'clock. You're not leaving until 6 in the morning the next day. You
Wow.
check dealing with a whole bunch of drunk people, but you have to do that to get your name out.
Yeah.
No, it's like you can just hop on social media and say I'm available today. Let me get a tattoo. It's just so easy. No disrespect to the young generation, but it's so much different.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Speaking of
I think.
others,
Good. Good.
I was say, speaking of others in the industry, you ever collaborated on a tattoo with another artist? Like it was something big, your specialty and their specialty. You ever did something like that?
Yeah, a couple of times, but we had a few artists I collaborated with. One of them, Chief, not Chief Chill
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram. You know Chief.
Yeah.
We always collaborated on tattoos. We've been tattooing together for like 14 years. Actually, he's an integral part of my growth as an artist, and his knowledge, his skill set, and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like he's an integral part. So we've been collaborating for years, man. Years, just trying to figure it out and trying to get better.
So those collaborations, would it be like the two of you tattooing at the same time, or it would be you do one session and then they would do like another session, something like that?
Back then it was, I do one, he do one, but now it's like, same time, same action, same person we work
Okay.
with, because like back then it was being Lee, like, he was doing his thing in his studio, and then I was doing my thing, and it's like, I cannot do portraits. Well, I can do portraits, but that's not my thing.
That's one. Yeah, right.
That's not my thing, right? Then vice versa. I do cover-ups. He can do cover-ups, but that's not his thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like we always treat and all right, if you can help that person out, and I can help that person out, all right, we'll do that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, with all what you talked about so far, obviously there was a lot of lessons learned and things, right? And so let's just go into a little bit of the business conversation now, because I see you have your shirt on, Soca. So
Yeah.
what is Soca, and just give us a little background on that, and give us some information on your business.
Okay, so we are located in South Orange, New Jersey. So the Soca is South Orange Collective Arts. All right, so we have paintings all throughout the shop, and all the paintings are for sale. And with all artists, so it's
including the one behind you.
Yeah, including Kobe. All right, that's a one of one.
You looking to get it, man, Rajiv?
Catch my eye the first when it came on.
So all the paintings are for sale. We invite every painter, every artist. If you have something you want to sell, if you want to promote, hang it up in the shop. It sells. You get a time frame or whatever the case may be, and go from there. But we're all artists at the end of the day, whether it's music, painting, tattooing, drawing, whatever. We're all artists, so it's a collective,
So what would you say in terms of running a business? Because it's one thing to tattoo on, for people like you say, like especially the young people who are starting off and maybe they have a job and they're doing some tattooing on the weekends, them kind of thing. It's another thing for it to be your career and your family, depending on the money that you're making, right? So as a business owner, how do you manage that, right? How do you deal with making sure that you keep the bottom line in the black?
Well, one thing for sure is that I'm fully dedicated to my craft, just tattooing. Just like, if it was a construction worker, they wouldn't say, I have my main job is working at Burger King,
Yeah.
They will be a construction worker. So I always try to instill it's not a side hustle, it's not a hobby. It's not something that you just do passively. You have to invest your whole life into it. And what you put into it will definitely determine what you will get out of it. So I try to lead by example majority of the time. Well, all the time. I lead it by example. If I haven't been through it, if I haven't gone through it, if I don't know about it, I wouldn't preach about it. So that's one of the beauty of actually having my shop now, because it's like, you know, I want to preach to everybody that you can do it and it can be lucrative, because a lot of people tend to doubt themselves and what they can do, because it's a lot that comes with it at the same time, you know.
Mm.
But if you put your all into it, it will give you everything that you desire. It will give it to you. But you have to take it serious and you have to be dedicated to it. You have to be fully involved with every aspect of tattooing for it to work for you. It cannot be something that you just do for 3-4 hours a day. Nah, that definitely that you have to be fully invested.
Mm.
But you feel like you were disciplined from day one in terms of when you started really like seeing your money from tattooing, like how long it take you to get to the point where you wasn't spending what you're making a day as soon as you leave the shop and saying, well, hey, I have to start, you know, accounting properly. This is a job, pays by month and not by day, you know.
Right. Absolutely, I was not. Absolutely, I was not. To be honest with you, it wasn't until I had my daughter that I said, I need to lock myself and say, no, you know what? I said I was going to do this thing, and I need to lock in and really make this thing happen for me. So it was my mother first, and then I had my daughter. Two women I knew that I couldn't let down. So I said, you know what, I have to put my all into it, because I told them that that's what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in hindsight is when I really started talking to myself, and I said, you know, I wasted a lot of years. I wasted about 8 years of my career. 8 years, because yeah, I was making money, but that I was fucking that money off.
Spending it too.
I was spending them. I was fucking that money off. I wasn't saving. Make that money in one day. That by that night, the money finished.
Mm.
But somebody put it in a term for me. One of my advisors was like, you know what? You need to stop, because you're depending on tattoo equity, and that's not going to be good for you
In the future.
In the future.
Mm-hmm.
Tattoo equity, and you're looking at it on a day-to-day basis. And once I sat down and I thought about it, I said, oh my God, I really fucking up. Because I was partying, I was everywhere, traveling, I had cars, I had everything, you know what I'm saying? But once I had my daughter, I said I need to buckle down. And I still was fucking up. I still was fucking up, you know. But once I really locked down and I started getting serious, and it wasn't because I had that mindset, it's because I had to, you know. My back was against the wall. And
necessity.
Once I realized how easy it was to do that, in hindsight, I wasted 8 years of my career. And so that's why I try to tell everybody that's young and coming up. Don't fuck around.
Boy.
Don't fuck around. Do it now. I mean, just get that mindset going now. You can still have fun. You can still do what you want to do, but don't fuck around. Because I did it. You check, I fucked around. And I wasted so many. I always say I could have been so much better, but you know what? That's my path. I took.
Well, it is what it is, right? You can't really you have to kind of live and learn from it, right? But and what you say in there is so true, right? And that's not just in your field, you know, is in many fields. And
in life,
in life, I pull out a few gems from what you're saying, right? It sounds like you were in a position where you could basically, you know, take some chances, spend some money, because maybe there were things you kind of felt like, boy, you know, if that happened, I have a backup.
Right.
You know, right?
Right.
But when you maybe got to a point where you feel like, boy, you know what? Right now I have no backup. Right now
Right.
it's me. Right.
Right.
So right now you kind of have to step up, right? And I
Right now
think
you are the backup.
Yeah.
right. Especially when you have a child and you know you have a family and you have different things and people depending on you. That's a different story.
Yes.
And to your point is, and to the young people listening, this is something that this afternoon I was speaking to my mother-in-law about that, right? It's really and truly like when you're talking to young people, and I mean not old, but when we're telling them like, yo, save, you know, do this thing, they're checking like, boy, you live your life, but they don't really understand it. Like,
but I was the same way. I was the same
way.
way.
So sometimes like sometimes you have to kind of catch yourself and say, boy, I remember when I was that age, I was doing the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
But like, you know, they say like you're supposed to kind of learn from other people's experiences too, you know. So yeah, that's a good point you're making there, man. That's a very good point you're making there. So I guess I would say what would be some of the most effective ways? I mean, you mentioned social media before, but in terms of your customer base, how have you kind of maintained your customer base or grown your customer base or your clientele over the years?
Well, you know, over the years I was really like a social guy. So I was at every event, every party. One of my big my fraternity brothers, he said a couple words to me that was life changing, right? So and it resonated with me till this day, right? So every time I went out, you know, I was always too standoff, like just shy or whatever. I didn't want to be loud and obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
But I like going out. But he was like, he told me like, yo, you have to make yourself relatable. So when I went out, it's like, I would mingle with the top dogs or the little poopot, you know what I mean? No matter who. And I would always just keep it natural because, people are people, no matter what status they have. And, I gained a lot of respect from that. My character, I'm non-judgmental, really cool guy. So it's like, all right, I can fuck with him, So my biggest standpoint was respect. And in order to get respect, you have to give respect. So I always gave people respect. And it's like I never forced nobody or pressure nobody to come. Oh, I doing tattoos. Oh, come. No. It's like, yo, I'm a cool guy, man. You wouldn't want to hang out with me.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, by the way, I do tattoos. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But everywhere I went, there's always the same reaction. And it's a simple format to follow. Just show respect. Give respect. And be respectful. Actually be respectful. Don't just pretend,
It sounds to me like you've done a lot of work on yourself, man, to be honest, because in terms of, you made a comment earlier, you said you're aware that you're arrogant, but you practice humility, right? That's something that shows a level of self-reflection. You know what you are, right? And you're not trying to be something else.
Right.
I mean, I try not to make it, for those who don't know, Byron is my uncle. He doesn't look like that, but for those who don't know. but to be honest, when I think about it, there's a lot of different things that can happen throughout somebody's life, right? To kind of shape who they are, you know. And at some point, the old people in Dominica would always say, you have to ask yourself a question. They always used to say that, So, and I know, like, Byron's mother, who's my grandmother, would always say that, you have to ask yourself a question, right? So it's like, you have to think about all those things. So it sounds to me that, you've gone through a process where you've realized, this is something I want to do. This is something that is possibly lucrative and it could take care of me and my family. So let me take the necessary steps to take it seriously. So kudos to you for that, man. Kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So one thing I wanted to do, which we haven't really done in the past, was when we have somebody on, especially somebody like Byron who has, his showcase and he has a lot of things that he has done. I don't want to just tell you guys go to his page, right? I want to kind of show and let Byron kind of talk through some of the pieces that he's done, right? So let's just go through that now. So I'm gonna share some stuff here, and Byron, I'm gonna try not to show anything that's not PG friendly, guy. I don't really know who watching or who not watching, But all right, so let's start off with a few pieces here. Let's start off with this piece. I really like this one. All right, so just gonna, and you can just talk through it. It's just a little video. Actually, I haven't played it yet. Sorry. There we go.
Wow. All right, so this one. All right, so that client there. All right, so she came through, and she gave me complete creative freedom. She just said, I like roses. I want color, and she showed me a picture of like a girl with a face, half face, half rose. So I draw it up for her. The drawing was nowhere near as detailed as this. Nowhere near. There were just lines everywhere. But that's what I had envisioned in my head, and I say, you know what? Let me just give you that. I never did that before. I never will do it again because I underestimated how long it would take. I underestimated how much work it would go into making that happen. But that's one of my favorite pieces.
But that looks
That
sick,
look real good.
That look real
Yeah.
good, bro.
Thank you. But she gave me
No,
full creative freedom on that one.
but question, Byron. So my philosophy is right, and I don't. This is just my philosophy personally. With my skin complexion, I don't want to call a tattoo. Me personally, right? Because
I disagree with
that hello. Like I say, that's why I stress my about 3 times before. Right? I feel like the tattoos that look better on me is like shaded tattoos, right? That's what that's why I prefer. I'm not really a fan of too much of color. Now, obviously, the color here, because this person is a little bit more light skinned, so the color is kind of popping out, a lot in my mind. So, what's your thoughts on that?
So it does play a factor. It does play a factor. Like complexion, it does play a factor, but you have to know what tones to use. Obviously, the darker the skin tone, I wouldn't recommend color because color ink is not really ink. You check, it's pigment. So if you're dark, applying pigment on top of pigment obviously is going to be a little more difficult. And every color, no matter, like, let's say if you do a fresh tattoo and you do orange, for example, you have to check the person's skin undertone or whatever. You can do red on somebody and it will heal maroon or burgundy. So the color thing is tricky. Obviously, the lighter you are, the more free game, the free space you have to do and deal with color. But darker tones, less is more. You check darker skin complexion, less is more. So that's why we tend to use like lighter ink tones and try to go bigger so you can see the detail. Because once you heal and that your skin repairs itself over the dermis, you have to worry about that tint over the tattoo as well. So people will complain saying my tattoo faded or whatever the case may be, but it's like, yo, pigment on top of pigment is
Yep. So you talk about cover up. So let's this one is I think this one is a cover up. So let's show this one.
It's one of my favorite cover ups. Boom, gone.
Yankee guy.
Solid.
There's another.
I think this one is another cover up. Gone. Another free range.
Nice.
It's an addition.
How long something like a full chest tattoo take? Like just pass it.
Them big tattoos, I normally recommend sessions, man. Like, so
yeah.
Sessions. Yep. Yeah, just do like 3-4 hours a session. Normally take about 2 to 3 sessions,
Because after a while too, even you as the person getting the tattoo is like, you kind of sitting there, bro, for all.
Right. Bro. Man, don't get me wrong. You can sit for like 16, 20 hours, but me, nah.
Nah, it's a lot, man. In one sitting, it's a lot, because it's a lot of concentration and
a lot of them
and everything,
my eyes just start twisting. I say, oh, nah. That's another portrait. I say, I don't like doing them, but I can do it.
Nice. All right, let's go to another one. real quick. Oh shit! What I just do? I just take out Byron instead of taking out the thing.
Mhm.
All right, hold on. Let me share another one.
You ever had anybody who was in too much pain that you couldn't continue because the
Yeah,
person was just like,
yeah, yeah. People they start shaking involuntarily. Start shaking.
or,
You know.
or some people they come with they ready for the tattoo, but they before the needle even touch, they
Yeah, I have all that. Yo, one time I was tattooing this one girl, 3 letters. Tattoos don't take more than 10 minutes. It took me 3 hours, and I say I'm never putting myself through that again. In this game, you have to go through everything in order for you to say, you know what, I can or I can't. So now I
Yeah.
know the signs. If I know you're shaking and you can't do it, because at the end of the day, my name tied to that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 hours and the lines came out real fucked up, and it's just like, oh God,
Let
there's
me
a
let
hard.
me let me go through this one here. Let me restart it. This is a tough piece, boy.
Yeah, that's another one. That one took about 8 hours. 8 hours to do. And that's full black and gray, soft tones. You check
Yep.
soft tones. So I mean, she obviously she can get color, but
Mm-hmm.
the black and gray give like a timeless feel.
But that's how I feel, man. I
Yeah,
really love black and gray tattoos,
yeah.
man.
It's low maintenance, and it lasts longer. You know,
so what
All
you're
right, this
saying
is
is like color
high
lasts
maintenance.
shorter than
Yeah,
the
color is
dark
high
ones.
maintenance, man. You have to get that thing. Well, you don't have to, but it's recommended you get it retouched every
Retouch. Oh.
every how often is it?
like 3 to 5 years.
Mm.
You know, in order to keep it vibrant and nice and sharp. But black and gray, you can go 10, 15, 20 years, you know.
Okay. Let me see. I'm just looking to get one other one. I just want to share here. 1 second. Just bear with me. All right. This look like some kind of octopus or something.
Yo, that tattoo there I really love this tattoo. You know how long I've been everybody is saying, you know, you're the artist, do what you want to do what you want to do. Let me do an octopus. Let me do I don't want no damn octopus on me. So so this lady, she walked in for a tattoo, and I had to do the consultation with her, and I asked her what she want, typical questions or whatever. She said, I want an octopus. I give her a hug, I say, oh my God, yo, you finally here. Yes, let me do that octopus for you. So that was my first, not my first, but my first realism octopus. I did an abstract
Mm.
before, but that's my first realism. And I want to do more, octopus is like, I feel like it's like full creativity. You can just put any tentacles and light sauce that motherfucker and just make it rap and do whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
the most intelligent fucking sea creature. So it's like, oh man, nobody want to get it though.
Octopus, but people shatu eat people eating shatu, my brother. But yeah, man. So I mean, we've been talking for about 55 minutes, and you can keep the conversation going a lot longer, but we don't want to inundate everybody with all this information. So if you guys want to hear more from Byron and his stories, and then Byron have stories for days, trust me when I tell you. So you guys want to hear, check him out. So Byron, just plug your business and plug your Instagram and everything, and give the
Booking
people something.
process, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
how they go for booking you and all that stuff.
All right, cool. So what's up? My name is CashTatts. You can find me at Soca Tattoo Studio in South Orange, New Jersey. All right, we have a nice shop. It's about 7 of us in here. Everybody's fire. Everybody doing really phenomenal work, right? Everybody in here. Let me run down the names for you. We have Chief Chill. We have J Baby Inks. We have Tattoo Chris. We have Kev Heartless. We have JB Inks. And we have Tats by D-Boy. Yo, when I tell you, I don't people, they're fire. You check, and including myself, CashTatts. All right. No, we're not here to brag and boast, but we're doing some really phenomenal work. You can find us at Soca Tattoo Studio _206. We're located in South Orange, New Jersey. Ready to service whatever tattoo needs that you want, whether it's realism, color, cover-ups, script, fine line, freestyle, custom, copy, whatever the case may be. We have all your tattoo needs. You know what I'm saying? We tend not to copy too much, but some clients come with that same whatever. Yeah.
I want that. I want that.
Yeah. The trendy. What matter of fact, let me rephrase that. The trendy tattoos. Like, we do everything. We do everything. So Soca Tattoo Studio _206. You can find everybody in the bio. Check their workout. And that's it.
All right, everybody. You heard it here. I don't know how many interviews Byron has done, but this one, this one will be up in the shop, and you guys can check it out. And anybody who saw this video and then went to Byron and his crew for tattoos, make sure you guys remember you saw it here first. Talk the Ting. Share the video, share the live, subscribe to our channel. We're really, really trying to, not just talk about it, but be about it. We're trying to bring positive vibes. We're trying to expose people who are doing good things, So please don't hesitate to reach out. If you guys have any, ideas on anybody you guys want to see us talk to, let us know. We'll reach out to them. We'll get them on. We'll have a conversation. And maybe one day soon we can do something with Byron where we can go to the shop, do a tattoo, something like that.
Yes.
We'll kind of figure it out. But we'll try to put something together.
Get an octopus.
Yeah, Rajib saying an octopus on his back. Yeah, so, yeah. But anyway, man.
Yo, I want to applaud you guys, man. It's a really lovely, really structured format, man. I really love it. I had a good time there. Talking to you guys.
Thanks.
Real comfortable, streamlined. I really love what you're doing. Keep it up.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Thanks.
Well, everybody, with that said, like, subscribe, share, follow, Talk the Ting _DA. We on Instagram, we on YouTube, we on Facebook. We're trying to get the bigger we get, the better we get. We're taking everything and we're putting it literally right back into the show to try to make it better. As you guys can see, we have a new interface. We're working. We're trying to make it look better and make everything work nicely for you guys. All right. With that said, have a good night. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, man.